Nettie looks at everyone and then shoots a very hateful glare at Pearson. And then, do you do anything, Pearson?
No.
Okay.
He knows what I'm going to do.
And then
I don't need to remind him.
He kind of like slumps his shoulders and walks away. And after the door closes, Jorlif kind of shrugs his shoulders and sighs and says, "That was by far one of the worst stories I have ever heard." And he rolls his temples like he's just had a very long day. And he says, "I have not declared sentence yet. There is still the matter of you murdering 4 people. And I have not yet decided if it was self-defense or not." And right about that time, Mika flutters down from God knows where and alights upon the desk in front of Jorlif and says, "My lord, if I may." And Jorlif looks incredibly surprised because, like I said before, fairies are not very common. And he goes, "How did you get it? Never mind. What do you want?" And Mika says, "I'm sorry, my lord, but they were working for me. Anything they did was done to protect me. Please don't be lenient with them. I hired them to..." And Jorlif looks at her and says, "To what?" And she goes, "Well, I had some stones, some purple stones that were stolen from me, and I just hired them to get them back. That was all family heirlooms and trinkets, and they were just protecting me." And Jorlif looks at her for a long time, and then looks at everyone else, and then says, "I need time. You will all be placed in holding cells with food and bed until such time as I decide what I'm going to do with you." And then he looks at Pearson, and he says, "I remember a Stonebridge king who used to always elude my guards and gave me no end of trouble. And then one day, apparently, that Stonebridge king met a girl and had 2 little ones of his own. And apparently turned over a new leaf. I'm an old man, and it's very rare that I see something where I actually consider it to be genuine." And then he looks at you very straightforward. "If you want to see your little ones again, you will not attempt to escape. You will sit there, and you will let justice serve its course. I would hate to think that the one thing I thought was genuine was false. Am I understood?"
You're understood, but I'll say this quite clearly. Never threaten my family, law on your side or not.
You misunderstand me. I wouldn't harm an innocent. I asked if you wanted to see them again.
That's a threat, using my family as a
It's a threat to you
threat.
staying in a dungeon for the rest of your life, not that I would ever harm your children. Please, I am not a monster."
Well, neither am I.
And then with that, Jorlif waves his hand, and you are all guided, not too roughly, but not too gently, to rooms within the house where you are deadbolted behind iron doors, but the rooms are more comfortable than you expected. There's a bed with a straw mattress and a table, and on the table for each of you is a loaf of bread and some water. That's about it.
Are handcuffs removed?
Your handcuffs are removed when you are put into your room.
In that case, whenever a guard steps up to remove my handcuffs, Jarek will flick his wrist, slide them off, and hand them to the guard and say, "They were a little loose."
The guard looks at Jarek a little scared and a little surprised, and says, "Thank you," and then closes the door. And then that is it. You guys are kind of left to your own devices for the night. If you want to do anything, now is the time, or you can just wait until you're called upon.
Are we in separate cells?
Yes, you are all in separate rooms.
Sad music between Finn and...
Jarek will yell out. Jarek will yell out, "Cullimore, next time I do the talking."
There's no response.
Jarek's going back to, "I'll take the lead on this." And has seen the monumental failure that has happened.
Yeah.
Failure.
We're in prison. How have we failed? Oh wait.
Oh wait.
Oh, I do. At least as a GM, want to compliment you guys on picking up on every single flaw that I made in that guy's story.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I seriously, in fact, even Grimmith started picking up on one that I didn't even intentionally put in there too much.
Yeah.
But well done.
I was going to bring up the fact that he was saying that we were all laughing. Then I was going to point at Jarek. You really think he laughs? Are you kidding me?
But well done on that one. Do you guys? We'll just be straight to the point. Is anyone going to try and escape, or are you all just going to sit there? Or...
Oh God,
I'm-
no! We're
I'm
staying
going
there.
to strangely assort my room.
Pick up the toilet, put it here. Pick up the bed, put it here. Pick up the bars, put it here.
Anyone else?
Finn's just gonna be pacing because he can't get comfortable in a room like that.
Jarek
So-
is just going to gonna fix himself with his muscles. He's just gonna stand right on the other side of the door and just glare.
That's
Right.
He'll just fix his sort of dead body into position, like crack the bones and like.
creepiest goddamn.
Because you know I could open this door if I wanted to, but why terrify them? Then they'll know too much.
Right.
They'll put the special shackles on me.
All right. So unless anyone has anything,
No,
they
I'm
would-
not going to try to break it.
Nope.
All right then.
He's just gonna
the
lay
next
down.
morning.
sleep.
Next morning, each of you are.
I don't eat.
The next morning, each of you are brought out of your cells and marched back to the same room. And Jorlif is sitting there again. It looks like he's still wearing the same clothes that he was wearing the night before. And he sits up, he looks up at you guys, and he says, "Well, I don't have time for ceremony, nor do I stand on it very often. I have judged, due to your straightforward honestness with me, which I appreciate, and the, well, let's just face it, lack of story from Mr. Oh, I don't even remember what his name is anymore.
Nelly, also known as Mellencamp.
Nettie.
Mellencamp.
Yes.
Nettie.
I have judged that you guys are not murderers. You are just not exactly the best of judgment. May I suggest in the future, if you are attacked in the city, the smartest thing to do will be to notify a guard as soon as possible. I don't know what you may think of my guards, Pearson, but none of them would kill you on sight, and I guarantee you it would have saved you a trip down here. That said, I can't say that I'm displeased to know that there are 4 less muggers in my town. Pearson, your wife has been notified. A guard was sent to her sent to your house so that she wouldn't worry. I did not inform him to tell her you were in jail, simply that you were a guest of Lady Celine. I assume that is adequate.
I suppose, yes. Although I'll have many a question when I go home.
Yes, well, and in pertaining to that, you are all free to go from here, but you are, in fact, going to be a guest of Lady Celine. She has requested your presence, and it is not so much a request, but more of a condition for you to go free.
Finn just stares like, I need to bathe. I smell like shit.
Jorlif holds up his hand, and he says, "We are not going to send you to the palace looking like that. You will all get a bath.
What is that supposed to mean?
You will
I
all
look bad. Cole, do I look bad?
Jorlif keeps trying to talk, and he just calmly, patiently. You will all receive baths. Your clothes will be washed. You will be given a breakfast, and then you will be escorted to the palace to see Lady Celine. Something about purple stones." And at that time, Mika, who was sitting on the side, pipes up and she goes, "Oh, oh, oh."
Jarek's eyes sort of gravitate so that they're now glowering at Mika.
She kind of looks like she just realized what she did. And then, so Jorlif says, "Is there anything else?"
Yes.
Oh,
My chest, please.
Jorlif says, "Of course," and motions to the guards who give back Cole's chest.
They like looked at it and they're so perplexed. Like, why does he want like an empty chest? Whatever. They're weird.
And then, as you guys are getting ready to go, Jorlif says, as you're headed out the door, he says, "Pearson, whatever you may think of me," and he kind of chooses his words carefully. There was about 5 years ago a series of murders from very high people up in certain gangs that we never found the killer. I just about thought it's time to stop looking. Please don't make me regret that decision.
I won't. And just so you know, what you heard before with your little story about an ex-ganger and whatnot, what you heard was pretty close to the truth. You need to get some sleep there, Jorgen. But if you ever need a hand from an ex-ganger, let me know.
He kind of chuckles and says, "It's Jorlif, and I think I'll be fine."
Oh, fair enough.
And that's it. You guys are invited to not your rooms this time. It's a communal room with a slightly better breakfast. Some rolls that look like they've been baked not too long ago. Some butter, some oatmeal. You're also invited to take baths, and your clothes are washed while you bathe. You actually, by the time you finish the baths, you find out that your clothes not only have been bathed, but have also had their larger rips and tears from said dire rats mended by what you have to assume are some incredibly nimble fingers. And you guys are ready to go, fresh and clean. When you are ready to leave, you have 2 guards that are waiting to escort you to the palace.
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
So,
Cole is going to be very foreign to a lot of them. He's going to understand water, but nothing else.
I understand you, water. Don't ever change.
Never change, water. Never change.
Do you guys wish to do anything on the way to the palace?
We're being formally and summarily escorted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is Mika coming with?
Yes, Mika is riding on her shoulder of choice today is... Okay, I'm just going to take the last one. It is actually Keen.
Good.
All right.
Jarek's eyes just settle on Mika the entire way.
She's
a smoldering glower.
Believe it or not, somehow never seems to look at you. Almost as if she was avoiding your gaze. And she actually looks kind of... pouty's not really the word. More like a puppy that knows it done effed up, you know? Sullen. There you go. Sullen. Trip is nowhere to be seen. It's just Mika. But she does inform you while you're walking along that Trip is with the ledger back in the tavern, which was not apprehended by the guards because guards don't normally see books as threatening.
You do realize that you do realize none of us had intentionally informed the captain of the guard about the Purple Stones job due to the relation with Lady Celine, correct?
Mika stands up, puts her fist on her hip and says, "I know that," and then she stops and she goes quietly, "I know that. Sorry."
So when the 5 of us are no longer able to complete your job, you won't be disappointed, correct?
She actually looks at you with absolute despair in her eyes and says, you have to complete the job. And then she kind of just turns back around and sits down on Keen's shoulder and kind of just hunches over.
Jarek actually lets out a laugh, like a rich, like morbid laugh, and says, "As if anyone here could defy the will of the cities."
Finn just frowns his frown just deepens.
Jarek, maybe you need to get something for that cough. It's not sounding very good.
Cole gives him a hard slap on the back.
Jarek actually says, "Good, I needed that. I was stiff staring at the guards all night."
Anytime.
So you guys go through the city, you cross one of the bridges and go into the richer district of the city where you see very nicely painted houses. They're painted sort of absurd colors. One of the hobbies of the richer factions of Whitebridge is to look as audacious as possible.
Well, they're succeeding.
Yes, they are.
That's great.
The grass looks a little greener, and it's not that the poor sector is unkept. Whitebridge, even the poor sector, is not really. It's not like you're living in shacks and hovels, but there is a clear difference between the two sides of the city, and none more apparent than when you enter the palace gates. When you enter the gates and go into the courtyard, and you can all see the palace, you can zoom in on it if you'd like. But when you enter the gates and go to the courtyard, you find that the courtyard is made out of solid green marble. That is solid green marble, and it has stairs that lead up to beautiful white polished stone walls and absolutely brilliant gold doors. And when you enter these doors, you go down halls that are of the same polished white stone, and they're decorated with very lavish paintings and rugs and works of art. And you are led very, very promptly, but not hurriedly, up several flights of stairs until you reach a large doors and you enter a chamber, and inside the chamber you hear a poof and a bunch of swearing in a silky feminine voice. And you are guided through the door, and the entire room is filled with some sort of pink smoke. Inside you see Lady Celine, who is tall, beautiful, black hair. She looks like she's in her mid-30s, though all of you know that she's been ruling for well over 60 years. So looks are obviously deceiving in that matter. Her hair is a bit disheveled at the moment, and she seems to have some pink powder on her face. And then she is absolutely oblivious to you guys, and she is simply murmuring to herself, "Oh, that didn't really seem to work at all. Maybe I should try the..." And you hear a noise from the sides, very high-pitched coughing. And you hear a very nervous, high-pitched voice go, "Lady Celine, I must insist to do such things outside." And Celine looks up and goes, "Huh? What? Oh, right, I'm sorry, Fiddle." And then you hear Fiddle, who turns out to be a halfling of blonde hair, who seems to be even small for halfling standards, but is meticulously dressed in all white clothing and seems to, well, I would say normally doesn't have an ounce of dirt on him, but right now he seems to be covered in pink powder. He says, "And I believe, my lady, we have guests." And Lady Celine looks up for the first time and sees you and goes, "Oh, yes, my adventurers. Hello, I am Lady Celine. How are you doing?" And she comes up to you and just actually literally waves at you. And she says, "I believe you were the ones that were being charged for murder on the bridge. I do hope that turned out well."
Yeah.
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 Cole
We're not in the
sticks out a
dungeon.
hand like he's going to try to handshake, even though he looks like he's a little foreign to the gesture.
She looks at him and she goes, "I've never seen an orc do that before." And she shakes your hand heartily and she goes, "You're a big one, aren't you?" And then she,
So they say.
all of a sudden, she turns around and she goes, "Oh, I put
Look
too
of
much."
jealousy.
She turns around and she goes, "Oh, I put way too much powder in. That was the problem." And she starts motioning over to the desk, or walking back to the desk, and Fiddle has to stop her and go, "Lady Celine, what? Our guests?" She goes, "Oh, right. Thank you. Please, all of you, take a seat, take a seat." And you see around the room, there's several lavish chairs and couches that you can lounge on. And as you do that, Fiddle actually tries to open up a window to clear out the room so you can see a little bit more. And you see all manner of alcheminal agents and tools for rituals and wizarding potions and all the like. And Lady Celine sits down, and for several minutes, she just sits there quietly tapping her finger on her lips. And that is it. It's just very silent.
Cole's going to be looking around the room in great interest.
Eventually, does anyone want to do anything or say anything?
Well, Pearson's just gonna sit down in a simple chair and take a look at Jarek, and kind of just give him well, you wanted to be the one that talks type of look. And keeps his mouth shut.
Jarek actually gives Cullimore a snort of derision and like lowers his chin to his chest and closes his eyes.
So that's how. Yeah. See, that's what I thought. That's what I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, that's how you talk. You don't fucking talk. Was that the point? Would that just be saying "shut up, Pearson"? Because you could just say "shut up, Pearson."
Hey,
Anyway.
if you want to preempt the fucking lady here, by all means, go for it.
Nope.
I'm assuming all of this is not spoken.
No, it's all in their eyes.
It's an entire conversation held through eyes.
See, like, arm motions a lot back and forth.
We've already
all
developed
right.
a sign language between each other.
After a few moments, Lady Celine looks at you each in turn, and then she goes, I was led to believe there was a Keen among you, yes?
Maybe.
And she
Hi.
looks straight at you and she goes, oh, yes, I always wanted to meet you. Good job. I don't know why you stopped, but I absolutely loved the treasures you got for me.
Add a bit
Anyway,
of
so
accent.
and like completely going to a different topic.
Okay.
She goes,
fine.
so, about these
Keen
purple
just throws his
stones."
hands up, starts walking away.
She goes, so, about these purple stones, what can you tell me about them? And then before you could even talk, she goes, they are the most fascinating things. I've been trying to find out what they can do, but I need to get my cat in the room. Hang on one second.
What?
Not coming in.
Okay, Lady Celine.
Okay, come in.
We'll just
When
wait
she's
here.
busy with her cat, I'm gonna roll my eyes.
Love, you can't get in if you're holding him. Okay.
Fat ass cat.
So, Lady Celine, before you even have a chance to answer, she goes on a tirade saying, it's the most marvelous thing I ever seen. I picked it up for a song. The guy didn't even know it was magical. Oh, he said it would make my wildest dreams come true. But the little surprise was, I'm used to people telling me that kind of thing when they're trying to sell me things. However, I'm very, very surprised when they turn out to be true. The only thing I've been able to determine from the stone is that it actually would grant my wish. Whatever I desire. All I have to do is speak it and hold the stone and it'll be granted. But there seems to be something else to it that I haven't been able to figure out. And this entire time, Mika's face just gets more and more scared.
Anybody?
She's gonna just keep on talking until you guys...
Okay, I can't listen to her fucking voice anymore.
I'm not interrupting the goddamn lady of the entire city. Are you out of your
I
fucking
am.
mind?
Pearson's gonna interrupt her. I don't care. My lady, he says, forcing the words from his mouth. Those stones are incredibly dangerous.
She stops what she's doing, looks at you and goes, oh, how so?
Yes. Perhaps our fairy acquaintance can educate you on the specifics, but
No,
you might have gotten
can't.
too close.
Keen unfolds his arms and puts his hand up. She can't. Remember?
Mika actually hops on the desk and Melisine goes, oh my. Well, you're not
Yeah.
from this plane of existence, are you? I thought I knew every fairy that existed. And Mika just looks shocked. Like, she opens her mouth and closes it several times, and then she goes, no, I'm not. And Lady Celine goes, how marvelous. And she, like, literally just gets on her knees so that she's at face level. Like, the lady who seemed even covered in powder, that seemed to be regal and royal, just looks more like a schoolgirl now, right in front of the fairy and goes, so tell me, little one, where are you from? And then Mika's like,
God.
I'm sorry, I can't tell you. And she's like, well, how old are you? I'm sorry, I can't. What about the stones? And Mika keeps getting more frustrated. I can't tell you.
Sorry, lady, I hate to interrupt your meet and greet with our fairy friend, but the same magic that is proving so dangerous has enslaved this individual. She can't even speak ill of it. You kind of just have to take our word on it.
Oh, she nods her head. So someone put a magical enchantment on you to keep you from talking. I see. And Mika nods her head. She goes, oh, well, that's easy. I'll take care of that in a jiffy. And then she picks up Mika, and she touches
Fine.
Mika, and she goes, where is it the enchantment being held? And Mika holds up her wrist where the little 5 rings in the bracelet are. And then Lady Celine touches it with one finger, and the second she touches it, she drops Mika, who luckily flies before she hits the ground, and kind of screams in pain and flies backward, or not flies, but steps backward several feet and goes, oh, And then she takes a second to recover and goes, "Oh. Oh my."
During that, Finn kind of jumped to his feet and was going to help her if she was falling. True gentleman.
She holds up her hand and motions you away. She says, "I'm okay. I have been practicing magic for a very long time, and I, without trying to brag, am considered one of the greatest wizards in the land. And I have yet to meet an enchantment that I could not break." "What? Those stones?" And then Mika just kind of shrugs her head helplessly. Lady Celine says, "Then at least can you tell me this? Is it true? Will they grant any wish I desire?" And Mika nods her head. And Lady Celine just looks very dark, actually. And she says, "Fiddle, close the door." And the halfling gets up and closes the door. And Lady Celine produces a purple stone that looks much like the one Mika showed you. "I assume you said you wanted these back?" And Mika nods her head and she goes, "May I ask why?" And Mika says, "I need to stop people from using them." And she says it very desperately and very honestly. And Lady Celine nods and places the stone next to her and says, "Take it. Keep it safe. But we still have 4 other stones, I believe, if what I've heard from our merchant friend was right. By the way, how is dear Fredericks?"
He's great.
Scared shitless, Lady Celine. Scared shitless.
Probably not anymore.
No, he got shanked.
Cole looks over at him.
Celine looks sad for a moment and says, "I see. So this is becoming more and more dire the more I see. So the stones will grant you any wish you want. This is a problem. I'm not sure who I can trust now. Obviously, I trust my guards, but an ability to grant any wish you desire is something that's incredibly powerful and alluring. However," and she looks to the 5 of you and says, "Did you know this, and yet you were still seeking them for this fairy?"
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
didn't know that it could grant wishes.
No.
Mika pipes up and says, "They didn't know what it could do, but I trust each of them." And Celine looks at Mika and then looks at you and says, "Well, I don't suppose I have many options, do I?"
My lady, do you have a box of some sort which would block the enchanting effect of these stones? It would allow us to safely store at least this one.
Well, the bad news is no. I doubt anything I have would stop an enchantment of this magnitude. It is quite powerful. The bright side is that they're not completely harmless to you unless you actually try to use them. And she picks it back up. She says, "I could juggle this all day and it wouldn't do anything to me."
So you have to know it's magical and know what it can do before you can unlock its power.
She sets it back down and she says, "From what I understand, from what I've been able to gather from it, not quite. You do have to know that it can grant any wish you want, and you have to hold it, and you have to ask for said wish. But other than that, you don't need any other requirements to use it."
Alright, so that narrows down our list a lot. The average person is not going to know this enchantment.
Very
The
true,
first person
except
to
for
look.
the poor, sad fact that Frederick seemed to be telling everyone he met what these stones did.
Of course he did. Now, how did Frederick know?
That, my friend, is a very, very good question.